Welcome to What's New in ReSharper C++ 2016.3. We'll kick off with a few items related to the project model. With Visual Studio 2017 now in RC, we're pleased to say that we already support it. The only known issue is with faster project load. So go to Tools, Options, Text Editor, C++, Experimental, and there you can disable that option. You should now have full use of ReSharper C++ in Visual Studio 2017. Another new Visual Studio feature, which went into later versions of 2015, is something you can set in the project properties. Under C++ command line, it's the standard C++ latest compiler switch, and this enables support for newer language features going forwards. Now ReSharper C++ also understands this flag, and will support or offer these language features as appropriate. One more project-related feature is third-party code. Because we sometimes need to add external sources to our projects. We don't want or need them to be indexed because we're not going to need to refactor these symbols. So now we can go to the settings and third-party code, and there we can either skip them completely or we can treat them as library code, which will still be indexed. Either way, we can supply files, folders or file masks with wildcards. Let's add our thirdparty.cpp file. And now we can see that we're no longer offered fixes or refactorings for this file. The bread and butter of ReSharper C++ is the powerful refactoring, completions and code generation that take out the tedium of writing C++. In this release we've dialed this up even more. For this example, we're writing a game loop for a simple game involving monsters. The start of our monster class here has an eat method. There's also a free function, fight, that takes a monster. Down in the game loop, we have a vector of monsters. Now we know we want to do something with the monsters, so we'll start by typing that. If we hit dot, we get the usual list of methods for vector, but notice that we also have for each. If we accept that, it's transformed into a range-based for loop. It generated the loop for us. This is the first example of a postfix template. It allows us to concentrate on the data we want to operate on first, and then start to apply operations on that data. Okay, now inside the loop, we can dot into a monster and call the eat method, just a normal completion there. But let's dot in again. We can also select fight. It rewrites it as a function call. It even works with the arrow operator on pointers. Power is an integer, but we can even dot on that to show us more templates. We'll go with switch. And a switch block is generated. We can start filling that out. Postfix templates let us focus on the data in our code and suggest the operations that we can perform on them, generating around as necessary. And now refactoring. Range-based for loops and auto mean that we don't have to write out long type names as much as we used to, but the need does still come up, and sometimes we realise we'd like to have used a typedef instead. ReSharper C++ now lets you refactor to introduce typedef, so you can quickly and easily extract this typedef out of existing code, replacing all usages in the current scope. Of course, if you change your mind, you can easily refactor back out with inline typedef too. Finally, note that our types are declared inside two namespaces. C++ 17 introduces nested namespaces, and we can now refactor straight to that. For this to work, you'll need to have set standard C++ latest that we showed you earlier in the project properties. And there are a number of other language-related improvements, including no implicit const on const_expr when standard C++ latest is set. And now unit testing. If you use boost test, performance of the test runner has been improved, and an issue with boost 1.62 resolved. But if you use catch for testing, the news is even bigger. Catch is now supported by the test runner. Since I wrote catch, that makes me very happy. Hopefully it'll make you happy too, so let's take a quick look. Well, we've loaded up the catch self-test solution. So now when we go to the ReSharper menu and unit tests, we can, for example, run all tests from the solution. Or we could just use the keyboard shortcut. Now we visually see the tests running in the test runner. And note that one of them has failed. We can quickly home in on the failure by filtering to failing tests only. And from here we can click through to the test code responsible and we can see the test output. That lets us quickly home in on the calls and therefore fix the problem. Now we'll want to rerun. This time we'll do it from the test runner, but we could have done it from the menu or the keyboard shortcut. And we're all green. One of Catchy's more interesting features is nested sections, especially when used for BDD scenarios. And these are handled by the test runner too. We can see here the given, when, then stages are all shown quite nicely. Formatting and analysing. For this example, we have some typical code for implementing combining operators for bit-filled enums. First thing we'll look at are these casts here. Now the first one is being flagged as an outdated C-style cast, and we should probably refactor that to another static cast. The thing to note is that there are no spaces within the parentheses in any of these casts. So if we go to ReSharper, Options, and under Code Editing, C++ Formatting Style, there's a section for spaces. Now there's a new option here for within parentheses in cast expressions. Let's check that and come out. Now we Control-Alt-Enter to reformat. We can see the spaces have been added inside the parentheses. Now let's pay attention to the enum itself. Notice all the values are on one line. There's a new option for this as well, this time under Wrapping and Aligning, and it's Place Enumerators on New Line. Again, check that. Reformat again, and we now see them split and aligned across lines. Finally, two more formatting options for wrapping and alignment. First, chained method calls. And you can see the behaviour in the preview pane just down below. And similarly for chained binary expressions. Now some analysis improvements. First, redundant void arguments like this one here are called out, making it easy to just delete them. Next, incrementing a boolean is deprecated, and as the warning says, is removed in C++ 17, so it's good to have this help finding any cases in your codebase. Another unsafe ability is deleting a void pointer, so now a warning tells us it's undefined behaviour. And finally, a common idiom to make a class non-copyable is to make the copy constructor and copy assignment operator private and unimplemented, so we used to suppress these warnings here, but we've now reinstated them to encourage you to delete the functions instead. All of these analysis features and more are now available from the command line too, using the inspect code executable, so you can also run them on your build server. Our last section is documentation support. 2016.2 introduced support for Doxygen comments. This has now been extended with support for tparam for template parameters, as can be seen in this tooltip. And in QuickDocs too. Note also that the synopsis now has rich syntax highlighting as well. And as well as Doxygen, C# style XML docs are now supported too. Well, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, and you can always find out more on the ReSharper C++ page on the JetBrains website.